Good morning. I'm Samriddhi K.C. and these are the headlines of the hour. Bishwa Paudel assumes leadership as new Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank, undertakes mission to ensure NRB's independence from political interference. Nepal's ruling coalition shows signs of strain as internal disagreements come to light, doubts cast over unity and long-term sustainability of government. United Nations expresses concern over military aid not reaching Gaza despite international pressure. UK, France and Canada warn Israel to stop military action. And Rajasthan Royals bet Chennai Super Kings by 6 wickets in the ongoing Indian Premier League. Vaibhav Suryavanshi shines as CSK face their 10th defeat. After prolonged negotiations between the ruling coalition partners, Nepali Congress and CPN-UML, the government has appointed economist Bishwa Paudel as the Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank. The cabinet made the decision 42 days after the position became vacant, making Paudel the 18th Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank.
The newly appointed governor of the Nepal Rashtra Bank, Bishwa Paudel, is a 2010 graduate of the University of California, Berkeley. He has served as an economic advisor to the International Labour Organization and possesses expertise in both history and economics. Paudel also led the National Planning Commission, having been appointed as its vice chair on 27th of July 2021. In the last election, Bishwa Paudel resigned from his post in the Nepali year of 2079 after contesting as a Nepali Congress candidate from Chitwan constituency 1, where he was ultimately defeated. Since then, he has been teaching in Kathmandu University and was appointed to the Governor Recommendation Committee by the government. According to an agreement between Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli and Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba, the Congress proposed Paudel for the governorship after the resignation of Gunakar Bhatta was not accepted and Neelam Dhungana continued as acting governor. Following the proposal, Paudel resigned from his position as a member of the Governor Recommendation Committee.
Dr. Bishwa Paudel has taken the helm of Nepal Rashtra Bank at a time when economic stagnation persists, banks hold excess liquidity and consumer demand in the market is low. The country is facing the risk of continuing to be on the grey list by the Financial Action Task Force, while domestic and foreign investment continue to lag, presenting significant challenges for the new governor's leadership.
The newly appointed Governor of Nepal Rashtra Bank faces the significant challenge of revitalizing the nation's sluggish economy. While controlling inflation and managing foreign exchange reserves don't pose immediate problems, bringing dynamism to the economy and escaping the FATF's grey list are crucial responsibilities. Currently, inflation is under control at just 3.39%. Furthermore, foreign exchange reserves stand at over 2.4 trillion Nepali rupees, sufficient to cover imports for approximately 14 months.
तपाईं हुनुभयो भने खाली मैले यो काम गर्दा मेरो पार्टीलाई के हुन्छ भन्ने मात्र हेरे पनि उले यो ग्रे लिस्ट उसको अर्को वर्ष हुने ग्रेजुएसन सोच्न सक्दैन स्वतन्त्र होला मान्छे चेतनशील मान्छेको आस्था हुन्छ 84 सालमा भोट खसाल्दा कहाँ खसाल्ने त्यो उहाँको हकको कुरा हो तर मौद्रिक नीति बैंकिङ नीति परिचालन गर्दा विनिमय दर नीति परिचालन गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ पार्टीको मुख्य हेरेर होइन तथ्याङ्क हेरेर.
However, the new governor's main challenge lies in formulating and successfully implementing a monetary policy that aligns with the budget to stimulate the sluggish economy. At a time when principal and interest payments on disbursed loans are irregular, a policy solely focused on increasing lending risks a further rise in non-performing loans. Therefore, the governor must prioritize a monetary policy that energizes the economy. This policy should be determined by the nation's needs rather than the political party in power. Another critical aspect is the government's plan to exit the Financial Action Task Force's grey list within the next 2 years. This prioritizes strict monitoring of funds entering the country from abroad. The new governor is also responsible for preventing suspicious funds, potentially disguised as investments, from entering under pressure from specific political parties or leaders. Failure to do so could not only prevent Nepal from exiting the grey list, but also risk being blacklisted. Nepal first landed on the grey list in 2008. After failing to make necessary improvements, it narrowly avoided being blacklisted in 2012 with the assistance of the International Monetary Fund, eventually being removed from the grey list in 2014, again with IMF support. Businesses are demanding a halt to the working capital loan guidelines, while the International Monetary Fund has also been questioning the utilization of credit. It is the governor's responsibility to reassure international bodies, overcome the economic slowdown in the country, and provide sound advice to the government for this purpose. A report by Sudhil Pokhrel.
Nepali Congress leaders have continued to express dissatisfaction with the government, but party president Deuba has remained silent. The CP and UML lawmakers are suspicious that Nepali Congress officials have not participated in discussions on the government's policies, programs and budget priorities, yet there has been no response from Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli regarding the issue. The issue remains unaddressed despite frequent meeting between these two leaders. Every day, leaders from both the Nepali Congress and UML question each other's conduct. UML lawmakers even raised concerns in Parliament about the absence of Congress officials during discussions on the government's policies, programs and budget priorities. Likewise, Nepali Congress leaders are vocal both inside and outside the Parliament about how the government is functioning. Despite this, the top leaders of both parties remain silent on these specific issues. The dispute between the two parties became even more evident during the governor appointment controversy. Beyond just the governor appointment, there are disagreements between the two parties on various aspects of government operation, including civil servant transfers and promotions and political appointments. This internal friction, spreading like a slow-burning fire, is made public by second and third tier leaders.
हामी अहिले चुनाव जितेका छौं नेपालको सबभन्दा ठूलो पार्टी हो हामी सबैतिर सरकारमा छौं हामी नभएको ठाउँै छैन पालिकामा सरकार वडामा सरकार संघमा सरकार प्रदेशमा सरकार अहिले हामीले बनाएको प्रधानमन्त्री अब हुनेवाला प्रधानमन्त्री पनि हाम्रो अब सबै हाम्रो अब गभर्नर हाम्रो उ हाम्रो त्यो हाम्रो जताततै हाम्रै हाम्रो खुसी हुनु पर्ने नि त कांग्रेस त सबै हाम्रो बाबालामा किन खुसी नभएको यसले के देखायो हामीलाई हामीले खोजेको त्यो होइन रहेछ.
It has been 10 months since the two major parties, the Nepali Congress and the UML, formed a government with the aim of achieving political stability, amending the constitution and leading the country towards prosperity. Yet, instead of fulfilling these resolutions, leaders of both parties are now blaming each other. However, the leadership seems to be turning a deaf ear to all these disputes, perhaps thinking that the prime ministerial power-sharing agreement is already decided and each will take their turn when the time comes. And in this context, in our Public Voice segment, we have asked in several provinces, why is it that the second and third tier leaders see problems regarding government operation, but Prime Minister Oli and Congress President Deuba don't? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
जसरी हुन्छ सत्ता टिकाएर यिनीहरू गरी खान पल्केका छन् किनभने यिनीहरुमा सत्ता कसरी टिकाउने अनि कसरी खाने कसरी लुट्ने भन्ने यिनीहरुमा लामो अनुभव छ.
नेताले नबुझ्नको कारण तिनीहरु बुढा पनि भइसके तर यिनीहरुले अब यदि हामी छोडौं भने चाहिँ हामीले फेरि यो त पाउने हैनौ भनेर पनि नछोडेका होला.
वर्षौंदेखि उहाँहरुले सत्ता मोह र सत्ता भोग गरिरहेको बानीले गर्दा उहाँहरुलाई सत्ता मोहले नै सताएको भएर
कुर्सीकै तातोले हो कि केले हो अब बुझ्नु भएको छैन. उहाँहरुले पनि
कुर्सीको आवेग हुन सक्छ. मैले देखेको देउपा र ओलीले यसलाई मिलाएर लिएर गएर निकास दिनुपर्छ.
यो सबै आफ्ना पार्टीका बिचौलियाहरूलाई बचाउनको लागि हो. यिनीहरू पनि दोस्रो दर्जामा गएर दोस्रो दर्जाका पहिलो दर्जामा आएर सरकारमा बसे भने यिनीहरूले पनि गर्ने त्यही हो.
तीन दलका तीनटै बुढा नेताहरूको यो देशमा यिनीहरूले देश राम्रोसँग चलाउन सक्दैन. कुनै पनि त्यस्तो क्षमता छैन.
मेन नेताहरू मिलिहाल्नुहुन्छ हैन. अब जति सानो पार्टीहरू कराएर उफ्रेर चिच्याएर केही पनि हुनेवाला छैन.
जवाफ दिनुपर्ने व्यक्ति नेतृत्वमा भएका हुन्छन्. त्यसैले गर्दा जवाफ दिनेले सबैतिर ध्यान नपुर्याएको हुन सक्छ. र त्यस्तो देखिएको हो र उनीहरूले चाहिँ सञ्चालनमा ध्यान नदिएको भन्ने चाहिँ लाग्दैन समस्या देख्न चाहिँ देखेकै हुन्छन्
आपसी चाहिँ समझदारी नभएर सरकारलाई एउटा चाहिँ तपाईको एउटा गिरोहले घेरेको जस्तो देखिन्छ र यसले गर्दाखेरि भुइँ मान्छेका कुरा हैन जनताको एजेन्डा विकासका सुशासनका मुद्दाहरू चाहिँ सरकारले ठिक तरिकाले सम्बोधन गर्न सकिरहेको छैन हामीले राम्रा मान्छे खोज्छौं तर सरकारले किन चाहदैन राम्रा मान्छे भन्दाखेरि बिचौलियाहरूलाई पाल्नको लागि बिचौलिया कमिसन खोरहरूको चाहिँ मिलेमतोमा सरकार बनेको हुनाले
Welcome back. Amid speculations that the government may raise custom taxes in the upcoming budget, business persons have significantly increased the import of electric vehicles. Over 1,000 EVs that have completed customs procedures are currently being held at the Chobar dry port. Importers claim that the vehicles were brought in to meet growing consumer demand.
Nepal is experiencing a major surge in electric vehicle imports. The Department of Customs reports that 2,000 electric vehicles entered the country last month, a notable jump from 1,422 units during the same period a year ago. This accelerated pace is largely driven by businesses looking to preempt anticipated increases in customs duties on electric vehicles in the upcoming national budget.
हामीले चोबारको ड्राई पोर्टमा चाहिँ यो व्यापार सम्बन्धी चाहिँ क्रियाकलाप गर्नको लागि चाहिँ यो आन्तरिक टर्मिनल भनेर बनाएको छौं त्यहाँ आएर यहाँ बसेका छन् हामीले चाहिँ व्यवस्थित रूपले चाहिँ यहाँ व्यवस्थापन गरिरहेको हो अब अहिले चाहिँ तपाईको यो चाइनाबाट यो रसुवा र तातोपानी नाका हुँदै यो भन्सार जाँच पास भइसकेका सवारी चाहिँ अहिले 1050 वटा चाहिँ यहाँ छन्
Over 1,000 electric vehicles are currently held at the Chobar dry port, awaiting customs clearance. Customs officials indicate that approximately 10,000 electric vehicles have been imported in the past 10 months of the current fiscal year. Vehicles with power outputs between 51 and 100 kilowatts constitute the majority of these imports. While importers attribute the surge to growing consumer demand, the underlying concern about potential tax revisions remains a key factor.
4-5 सालको डेटा हेर्नुभयो भने पनि यो बेलामा चाहिँ प्राय जस्तो सबै मोडलका गाडीहरू कम्पनीले पनि बिक्री वितरण गर्ने कम्पनीले नयाँ मोडलहरू बनाउने कम्पनीले पनि उहाँहरु सहज रूपमा यात्रा गर्ने भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ यहाँ केही रूपमा अहिले हेर्दाखेरि थुप्रिएका देखिएका हो तर सबै बिक्री वितरण गरेर ल्याएका गाडीहरू
अब हेर्नुस् यो विगत केही दिनदेखि ईवी मा नेपाली जनताको चाम बढेको छ त्यसको मुख्य कारण त्यो भित्रको फीचर्स एउटा अर्को आजको दिनमा डिजल पेट्रोलको खर्च र त्यसले ईवीबाट कसरी कम गर्न सकिन्छ त्यो हिसाबले पनि त्यो खर्च धान्न सक्ने हिसाबले पनि मान्छेको आकर्षण बढेको हो
Currently, the government imposes a 15% customs duty and 5% excise duty on electric vehicles up to 50 kilowatts. For models between 51 and 100 kilowatts, the rates are 20% customs duty and 15% excise duty. This predictable tax structure, however, may soon change, prompting the recent rush in imports. There is also a clear need for better regulation in the electric vehicle market. Despite commitments to fixed retail prices before import, some dealers are reportedly selling vehicles at significantly higher markups, signaling a gap in oversight that warrants attention. A report by Suman Panta.
It is time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse, brought to you by Global College of Management, the first choice for +2 management, Baneshwar, Kathmandu. Global School of Science, an exclusive center of +2 science, Baneshwar, Kathmandu.
The question is, why has the government not fulfilled its promise of providing 50 million rupees to the Nepali cricket team for World Cup preparations even a year after the match? Option A, apathy towards players. Option B, government never fulfills commitments on time. Option C, lack of funds. And option D, don't know. The voting is on. Visit www.kantipurtv.com or www.ekantipur.com to share your opinion with us. Nepal Oil Corporation (NOC) is moving forward with plans to purchase land for relocating its Dhangadi depot in Kailali. Locals in Dhangadi have long demanded the move due to the depot's hazardous location in a crowded market area. The NOC intends to relocate its depot to Godavari Municipality 7 and is in the process of acquiring 20 bighas of land for this purpose. However, the chosen land is located directly beneath a high-tension power line, raising concerns about safety and accusations of collusion between NOC officials and land brokers. The current Dhangadi depot, established in Nepalese year of 2037 on 18 kattha of land in Dhangadi sub-metropolitan city 3, Chatakpur, can only store enough petroleum for a week. Its central location makes it risky, and its limited storage capacity necessitates relocation. The proposed new site in Godavari Municipality 7, adjacent to the East-West Highway, is problematic because of the 132 kV power line.
बस्तीहरुमा जोखिम नहुने वरिपरिको बस्तीको संवेदनशीलता बुझ्ने र साथसाथै अन्य जोखिमहरु चाहिँ कम हुने खालको बस्तीमा डिपो चाहिँ सार्दा उपयुक्त हुन्छ होला जस्तो लाग्छ र अहिले चर्चामा आएको केही स्थानहरु हामीले सुनिरहेका चाहिँ छौं। ती चर्चामा आएका स्थानहरु खास गरिकन विद्युतका हाई टेन्सन लाइनहरु भएको र अरु धेरै जोखिमहरु पनि भएको चाहिँ हामी सुनिरहेका छौं। यदि त्यस्तो हो भने त्यस्तो जोखिमयुक्त ठाउँमा चाहिँ डिपो सार्नु उपयुक्त हुँदैन, किनभने यो आयल निगमको डिपो भनेको अत्यन्तै संवेदनशील विषय हो।
यो हाई टेन्सन लाइनको तल चाहिने अब यो आयल निगमको लागि जमिन लिने भन्ने एउटा किसिमको निर्णय भइराखेको छ भन्ने कुरो पनि अलिअलि चाहिने बजार हल्ला आइराखेको छ। त्यो एकदमै दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण हुन्छ। त्यो भन्दा अलि राम्रो विकल्प खोजेर चाँडो भन्दा चाँडो यसको चाहिने दीर्घकालीन समाधान चाहिने राज्यले आयल निगमले चाहिने समयमा नै खोज्न जरुरी छ।
NOC officials acknowledge that the 20 bigha and 16 kattha land parcel is registered under 29 different owners. Some within the corporation have expressed reservations about acquiring land under a high tension line and with multiple owners. However, other officials claim that after extensive searching, this was the only suitable land found.
त्यो जग्गाभित्र चाहिँ हाई टेन्सन लाइन चाहिँ अहिले प्रारम्भिक रूपमा हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ देखिदैन र कमिटीले पनि प्रतिवेदन त्यही हिसाबले दिएको छ। यसको चाहिँ डिटेल अध्ययन हुनुपर्ने, सबै रूपले फिजिबल भएपछि मात्रै यो प्रक्रिया चाहिँ त्यो पनि कहाँबाट हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि जग्गा प्राप्ति ऐनबाट चाहिँ यो जग्गा चाहिँ प्राप्त गर्ने प्रक्रिया चाहिँ अगाडि बढ्छ।
A purchase committee led by NOC Director Vineet Mani Upadhyay is reportedly pushing for the acquisition of this land despite internal dissent. Critics suggest this move is suspicious, especially given the availability of other vacant land in Kailali and Kanchanpur. The decision to prioritize land under a high-tension line rather than exploring safer alternatives raises questions about potential collusion between NOC officials and land brokers. Time for international update. The UN stated that no aid has yet been distributed in Gaza despite aid lorries starting to cross the border after an 11-week blockade. Israeli officials said 93 trucks entered Gaza on Tuesday carrying aid including flour, baby food, medical equipment and pharmaceutical drugs. The UN said despite trucks reaching the Palestinian side of the Kerem Shalom crossing, no aid has been distributed so far. Spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said a team waited several hours for Israel to allow them to access the area, but unfortunately they were not able to bring these supplies into their warehouse. Israel agreed on Sunday to allow a basic amount of food to enter Gaza, where global experts have warned of a looming famine. The UK said it would be suspending trade talks over what it described as Israel's morally unjustifiable military escalation in Gaza, with Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer describing the situation as intolerable. Meanwhile, the EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas said the bloc would be reviewing its trade agreement with Israel in light of its actions in Gaza. UN bodies estimate 600 trucks a day are required to begin tackling Gaza's chronic humanitarian crisis. Last week, the Hamas-run health ministry reported 57 children had died from the effects of malnutrition over the past 11 weeks. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.